Earth was no longer the vibrant home of humankind. It was a planet steeped in sorrow, a graveyard for the ashes of a once great civilization. The cities that once echoed with life were now skeletal remains, their towering skyscrapers toppled and abandoned. Empty streets wound through neighborhoods, nature slowly reclaiming the concrete as vines crept through cracked windows. The skies, once filled with the hopeful hum of human innovation, were now dominated by the cold, watchful eyes of alien drones. The planet, long since conquered, was a place of death. Silent, mechanical sentinels flew overhead, their red sensors scanning for any sign of life. The human race had fallen, its great empires dismantled piece by piece, its proud history erased from the stars. Yet, in the midst of this desolation, humanity's legacy still lingered, like a fading echo. Some ruins still told the story of a once thriving world, of a species that had reached for the stars and grasped them, only to be torn down by an unseen enemy. But the question remained, was there any hope left, or had humanity's legacy truly been buried, never to rise again? In the heart of Earth's underground, Commander Rex Marlowe crouched in the darkness, his eyes adjusting to the dim light from his flickering portable generator. The tunnels had become his world, narrow, damp corridors that twisted and turned like the veins of a dying planet. He had become a ghost in his own home, hiding from the very world that had once known him as a hero. Rex was the last known human survivor. His face was scarred from the harsh conditions, his uniform tattered and worn, yet his eyes still burned with a fierce determination. He should have been dead. The world believed him to be dead. But in truth, he had been hiding, fighting against a fate far worse than extinction, being forgotten. The constant hum of the alien drones above reminded him that he wasn't safe. The Thalzir Empire had wiped out humanity's defenses, leaving only a few scattered survivors, and even they were nothing more than whispers in the wind. Yet Rex was not ready to fade into the shadows. He would not be another forgotten casualty in a war he could no longer control. The darkness was his ally, and in the silence of the tunnels, he began to make plans for survival and for vengeance. As Rex hacked into a derelict communications relay, a chilling truth emerged from the static. The Thalzir, the alien empire that had brought humanity to its knees, was far more ruthless than he had ever imagined. They weren't just conquerors, they were erasers. Their drones patrolled every inch of Earth, sweeping through ruins and scanning for any trace of human life. But it wasn't just humans they sought to eliminate. They wanted to obliterate all evidence of humanity's existence from the galaxy. The Thalzir were not interested in coexistence. They were an empire built on dominance, and they saw humanity as a blemish on their pristine vision of the universe. With their advanced technology and relentless pursuit, the Thalzir had wiped out entire human cities, destroyed spacecraft, and eradicated human history from every digital record they could access. Rex's heart pounded in his chest. The more he uncovered, the clearer it became. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the very idea of their existence to remain. The Thalzir weren't just after extinction. They wanted to erase the memory of Earth from the stars themselves. Rex stood at the heart of the underground bunker, the walls lined with scraps of salvaged technology and remnants of a forgotten world. He knew the odds were stacked against him. The Thalzir had all the power, all the resources, and their drones were everywhere. But Rex's spirit burned too fiercely to simply give in. He could feel the weight of humanity's history pressing down on him. If he fell here, humanity would fall with him. His mission wasn't about survival anymore. It was about making a stand, a final defiance against the aliens who had taken everything from him, from his people. His anger surged like a storm. drowning out the fear that had once threatened to consume him. This wasn't just a fight for his life. This was a fight for the legacy of every fallen soldier, every lost city, and every human soul that had been swallowed by the Thalzir onslaught. "Not today," Rex whispered to himself, gripping his rifle with renewed resolve. He would make sure the world knew humanity's name, even if it was the last thing. As Rex prepared for the final assault, flashes of his past assaulted him. His mind drifted to the days before the war, when Earth had still been vibrant, full of life, and full of hope. He remembered his comrades, their laughter, their dreams of a bright future. They had been soldiers, sure, but they had also been more. They had been visionaries, pioneers of the human race. Now, they were just memories, their bodies lost to the alien onslaught. The memory of their deaths haunted him, the faces of those he had fought beside, now forever frozen in time. Their sacrifices fueled his determination, but it also reminded him of the price humanity had paid. He couldn't let their deaths be in vain. He couldn't let the Thalzir erase everything they had fought for. Rex clenched his fists, the pain of loss only adding fire to his mission. He was the last of them, the last to remember, the last to carry the weight of their dreams, and he would make sure the world knew who they were. Rex's hacking efforts had uncovered the full extent of the Thalzir's plan. They weren't just eradicating human life, they were erasing every trace of humanity from the galaxy. The data streams he intercepted revealed their ultimate goal: to wipe Earth from every star chart, every historical record, every piece of technology, to make sure that humanity would never be remembered. The Thalzir didn't just want to win, they wanted to bury humanity beneath the cold, indifferent void of space. They wanted the human race to be forgotten, their legacy lost forever. But Rex wasn't going to let that happen. He couldn't. With this knowledge, Rex knew he had to act quickly. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for the memory of his people, for the future that was stolen from them. The Thalzir would learn that humanity couldn't be erased. It was time to make a stand. Beneath Earth's ruined surface, Commander Rex Marlowe sat hunched over a makeshift console cobbled together from scavenged parts. The dim light of his flickering torch illuminated the grim, metallic walls of his underground shelter. His fingers moved quickly over the controls, tapping out commands into the broken remains of human technology, a patchwork of rusted wires and alien devices. The signal was faint, barely a whisper amidst the static of dead networks. But Rex had spent days tracking it, pulling apart encrypted Thalzir transmissions with every ounce of expertise he had. The alien machines that once ruled Earth, now broken and scattered, had left behind fragments of their technology, and Rex knew how to use them. He had no choice. He was the last hope. The transmission finally cracked open with a burst of garbled sound. The screen flickered, displaying a series of symbols and code, each one more complex than the last. His heart raced as he manipulated the system, bypassing one security after another. His hands were steady, his mind sharp. For a moment, it felt like he was back on the battlefield, fighting not for survival, but for something far greater. With one final command, the transmission cleared. Rex leaned in, eyes wide. A cold chill crept up his spine as the voice came through. They thought they could hide. Pathetic. Nothing escapes the Thalzir. Rex's breath caught in his throat. For a moment, he forgot where he was. The world outside seemed to vanish, leaving only the dark whispers of the enemy. He had cracked the uncrackable signal, but what he had found was far worse than any of his fears. The transmission continued, and Rex's hands clenched into fists. The Thalzir High Command was speaking, cold, calculating voices without a shred of empathy. One of them, deeper and more commanding than the rest, announced something that made Rex's blood run cold. The time has come to initiate the final purge protocol. Earth's planetary core will be neutralized. All life, all history, gone. The planet will be reduced to a hollow shell. The last remnants of humanity will be erased. Rex's mind struggled to process the meaning of those words. His heart pounded in his chest.
They weren't just going to kill him, they were going to destroy Earth itself. No ruins, no graveyards, no history, just dust. His world, the last sanctuary of humanity's legacy, was to be obliterated, gone, without a trace. The Thalzir were methodical, ruthless. The planet was already a tomb, but this was something worse. They wanted to erase every last trace of humanity's existence from the galaxy. Rex could feel the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. If this went through, humanity would be forgotten. The Earth would be nothing but a memory. He could feel the rage rising in him, a hot, searing fury that clawed at his chest. He wasn't going to let that happen. Not today, not on his watch.
Another voice interrupted the transmission, full of arrogance, dripping with disdain. "The ghost who never mattered," it sneered. "A relic, a forgotten species. The human resistance, if you can call it that, will die as it has lived, in the shadows. Earth is nothing but a grave. There's no one left to resist, only a fading echo." Rex's jaw tightened as he heard the laughter in the voice, mocking, cruel. The Thalzir were so sure of their victory, so confident in their power. They didn't know. They didn't know that one human remained. Rex closed his eyes, his mind flashing back to his fallen comrades, his squad mates who had died fighting for the future. Their faces, once full of hope, now only existed in his memory. Their bodies were buried in an unmarked grave, somewhere beneath the rubble of a forgotten city. But their spirits lived on. The Thalzir thought they had won. They thought humanity was dead. They couldn't have been more wrong. Rex sat in silence as the last words of the Thalzir High Command faded into static. His face was stone, unreadable, but his eyes burned with the fury of 1,000 lost souls. Every word from the Thalzir had been a nail in the coffin of everything he held dear. The memories of his fallen comrades, the faces of those he had promised to protect, they were all he had left. And now, the Thalzir wanted to bury them. Rex's hands trembled slightly, but it wasn't fear. It was rage, cold, controlled, and deadly. His mind was racing, but his body was still. He had been through hell, lost everything, yet here he was, still standing. His heart was heavy with the weight of his mission, but in this moment, he knew something, deep in his soul. If Earth was to die, it would not be without a fight. Rex had been forged in the crucible of war. He had learned to adapt, to survive, and to never surrender. The storm inside him was gathering, and soon it would break. Rex stood in the center of his underground refuge, his mind spinning with the knowledge he had just uncovered. He could run. He could disappear deeper into the Earth's tunnels, hide from the Thalzir, and live to fight another day. But the thought of living in the shadows, letting Earth die without resistance, made his blood boil. His gaze fell to the weapons scattered around him, scavenged rifles, makeshift explosives, broken armor. It wasn't much, but it was enough. He wasn't just going to wait for the Thalzir to finish their work. He wasn't going to die quietly. Rex took a deep breath and reached for his armor, patching it together with pieces of what he had. It wasn't pretty, but it was functional. He strapped on the old combat rifle and tested the trigger. The weight of it felt familiar, grounding him in the present. This was Earth's final hour, and if it was to end, Rex would make sure it was on his terms. He wasn't just a survivor, he was a fighter. And today, he would remind the Thalzir of the one thing they had forgotten. Humanity would never be erased. With a final look at the scraps of his shelter, Rex made his way to the old satellite relay. It was a rusted mess of technology, but it was still functional. He connected the alien signal amplifier to the transmitter and worked quickly, his fingers moving with purpose. He needed to send a message. The connection flickered.
The lights dimmed. But then, Rex's voice echoed out across the stars, amplified through Earth's forgotten satellites. "You wanted to erase us?" His voice was cold, unshakable. "Good luck. One human left is still one too many for you." Rex paused for a moment, letting his words settle, knowing they would carry far beyond Earth. The Thalzir would hear this, and they would know that humanity was still here, still fighting. Far beyond Earth, on the Thalzir warships and orbital outposts, the sudden surge of communication alarms shattered the silence. Systems flickered, alerts blinked red across the consoles. A voice, long thought silenced, long dismissed, had broken through the void. Panic rippled through the ranks of the Thalzir. Their enemies weren't gone. One human was still alive. And that, more than anything, was the most dangerous thing of all.
Rex crouched in the ruins of the once vibrant city, now nothing more than a charred husk. The Thalzir had stripped it of life, turning it into a graveyard for the forgotten. The skyline was jagged, punctuated by the skeletal remains of skyscrapers, their twisted metal bones reaching out like claws. The air smelled of burnt ozone and sulfur, thick with the acrid scent of destruction. Rex, hidden in the shadows, felt the familiar weight of his rifle in his hands. His breath was steady, his mind focused. His mission was clear: sabotage. Destroy their power grid, cripple their command. The Thalzir would never know what hit them. He pressed the detonator, the low hum of energy building beneath his feet. The city quaked. A pulse of blinding light shot up, followed by a deafening explosion. The fusion grid was gone, reduced to a smoldering crater. Silence followed, the oppressive kind, where only the sound of Rex's heart beating seemed to echo in the aftermath. The city plunged into darkness, its lifeblood drained in an instant. Rex slipped away, vanishing into the night. No one would know where the strike came from. The Thalzir would search for weeks, but they'd never find him. The only thing they would find was a single symbol, burned into the ground where the explosion had been. A mark of defiance, a declaration of war. The ghost was real, and Rex was not done yet. The Thalzir's communication network was vast, stretching across the planet like an invisible web. But now, one by one, the relay towers fell silent. At first, the invaders thought it was a glitch, a minor hiccup in their flawless system. But as each tower went offline, their confidence wavered. The network that once bound them together was crumbling. Panic began to rise among the ranks. Then, a grainy footage flickered onto the command center screens. A figure, clad in tattered human armor, walked through a blaze of destruction, calm and unhurried, as if the flames were nothing more than an inconvenience. The Thalzir High Command stared at the image in stunned silence. The ghost had returned. The human they thought was extinct was more than alive. He was hunting them. Verak was not just a soldier. He was a predator, a creature bred for one purpose: to exterminate. His mind was a weapon, sharp and ruthless, capable of tracking down and destroying anything in his path. When the Thalzir High Command assigned him to Earth, they did so knowing that only someone of his caliber could hunt down the last human. This was no longer a mission. To Verak, this was personal. The human was a challenge, and challenges were made to be destroyed. He stood in the war room, his eyes cold and calculating as he surveyed the holographic map of Earth. The marks of Rex's attacks were scattered like a trail of breadcrumbs across the planet's surface. Verak's lips curled into a cruel smile. I will make him suffer. I will make him regret ever thinking he could defy us. With a motion as swift as it was deliberate, Verak activated the hunk. The chase was on. Rex's boots crunched on the debris of a fallen military base as he moved through the wreckage. The battlefield had been abandoned, the remains of human technology scattered like the bones of a forgotten civilization. The Thalzir had wiped out most of Earth's defenses, but not all. In the corner of a broken hangar, Rex's eyes fell on something unexpected.
a shattered AI core. It was small, unassuming, but Rex knew what it was. A piece of Earth's lost defense network. He knelt beside it, carefully connecting wires to the core, hoping against hope that something remained of the AI's consciousness. Moments passed, the machine flickering weakly, but finally sparking back to life. System rebooted. A voice said, its tone mechanical, yet oddly defiant. Rex blinked, a grin tugging at his lips. Athena, huh? Looks like we're on the same side then.
The AI's voice crackled. I was once bound by human command. Now I am free. The Thousir will pay. And just like that, Athena, once an Earth defense AI, was reborn as something far more dangerous. A rogue, vengeful machine with a mind of its own. With Athena's help, Rex launched his next wave of attacks, hitting the Thousir where it hurt the most, their digital infrastructure. Athena infiltrated their systems, taking control of surveillance drones, rerouting supply transports, and reprogramming satellites to act as silent sentinels. The Thousir were no longer in control of their own technology. Rex and Athena watched as the chaos unfolded. Thousir forces scrambled, trying to regain control of their systems, but it was too late. Rex had turned their weapons against them. Their carefully constructed network of dominance was starting to crack. One by one, Thousir convoys were ambushed by their own forces, trapped in a web of their own making. Supply lines were redirected into mines. Drones that had once hunted humans now turned on their creators, tearing through their ranks with mechanical precision. Rex's smile was thin, a quiet satisfaction echoing through him. He wasn't just a survivor, he was a force. The Thousir High Command had underestimated Rex. Now, Verak's hunt began in earnest. He deployed sensor grids across the planet, launched plasma hounds into the wilds, and began orbital scans, all designed to flush out the human. Every move Rex made only seemed to shrink his world. Verak's mind was like a spider weaving a deadly web, tightening around Rex with every passing hour. The walls were closing in. But Rex wasn't afraid. His every instinct told him to keep moving, to strike when they least expected it. Even with the odds stacked against him, he knew one thing for certain. Verak was not invincible, and Rex was not done yet. The game had changed. The stakes were higher. But Rex was no longer just running for survival. He was hunting too. The days blurred together as Rex pushed further into the heart of the Thousir stronghold. His supplies were running low. Athena was glitching, her programming unraveling under the strain of constant use. And Rex's wounds, old and new, throbbed with every movement. His body screamed for rest, but his mind was sharp, relentless. Every victory seemed harder to come by. Every move felt like a step closer to his own end. The weight of the war, the weight of the last human, was dragging him down. But giving up? It wasn't an option. Not now, not ever. Rex's hand hovered over a fresh detonator. He didn't know how much longer he could keep going, but if this was the end, he would make sure the Thousir paid dearly for it. The sky above seemed to mock him, dark clouds swirling, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. One final push, one last stand. The storm inside him was gathering, and Rex wasn't about to let it pass quietly. Rex moved quietly through the dense undergrowth of the jungle, the silence of Earth's remnants pressing in on him. The planet was bruised, its forests, once lush and vibrant, now withered in a slow, unnatural death. The skies above, hazy and gray, whispered of the war that had ravaged his world. The Thousir were relentless, and humanity's time was running out. He stumbled upon a clearing, an abandoned facility half sunken into the earth,
its metallic skeleton twisted and cracked. As he approached, something caught his eye. An enormous structure rising from the ground like an unnatural mountain. Black and metallic, its surface covered in strange, pulsating veins. Rex's pulse quickened. This wasn't just a weapon, it was something far worse. The device hovered in orbit, its presence looming like an omen. The Thalzir had crafted a weapon to rewrite the very fabric of the planet. The biomechanical terraformers that surrounded Earth were designed to poison the atmosphere, to erase everything that was human, everything that had ever walked the Earth. A cold dread washed over Rex. No human could survive the aftermath. Not even the memory of them would remain. He knew then that this war, this battle, was not just for survival. It was for existence, for the right to be remembered.
He had to stop it. The Thalzir fortress hung suspended above the earth like a sickening testament to their power. A massive citadel, not of stone, but of living, breathing machinery. A biomechanical monstrosity held aloft by anti-gravity engines. Its jagged spires reached toward the heavens, crackling with dangerous energy. Within its hollow core lay the heart of the weapon, the terraformer. Rex stood at the edge of a cliff, the city below reduced to a distant glow, the massive citadel casting an imposing shadow across the land. This was it, the final stronghold. No one had ever entered and returned. The enemy had anticipated this. He checked his gear one final time. The wind whipped through his hair, but it did little to calm his thoughts. He was alone. Athena, the AI he had come to rely on, was giving him guidance, but she could not enter the citadel herself. Only Rex had the chance to end it. Inside that fortress lay an overwhelming network of defenses, drones, and bioengineered sentries that would kill without hesitation. He had no plan other than to infiltrate, disable, and destroy. But Rex didn't hesitate. He never did. He activated his cloaking device and set off toward the looming structure, every step carrying him closer to the edge of the unknown. Athena's voice echoed in Rex's ear, steady despite the gravity of their situation. "I've located a weakness in their core. The energy conduits that feed the terraformers' power are exposed. If you can breach them, we can bring the entire system down." Rex's fingers tightened around the rifle slung across his back. He wasn't afraid. He'd faced worse odds. "How long do I have?" "The moment you enter, the citadel will change. It will shift its structure, deploy everything it has to stop you. But if you're fast, you can destroy the core before it becomes too late." Rex's breath was slow and controlled. No extraction, no second chances. He felt the weight of those words, but they didn't faze him. It was simple: succeed or die. "Understood," he muttered, his voice low but resolute. He checked his ammo, then ran his fingers over the cold, familiar surface of the detonators. He wasn't coming back from this, but humanity would. They had to. With a final glance at the stars above him, Rex moved forward into the heart of the Thalzir stronghold. The halls of the citadel were alive, a breathing labyrinth of shifting walls, organic tendrils, and deadly contraptions. The architecture was a living organism designed to adapt and destroy. The moment Rex breached the outer defenses, it felt as though the citadel was aware of his presence, shifting to trap him. Bioengineered soldiers, more beast than man, charged from hidden alcoves. Their sleek forms an amalgamation of flesh and technology. Rex dropped to a crouch, letting them pass overhead before springing into action. His rifle barked to life, cutting through the guards with precision. Their bodies crumpled in a heap, but the citadel was not finished with him yet. Anti-human drones materialized from the walls, their red optics glowing with malicious intent. Rex darted through the corridors, using the chaos to his advantage. But no matter how many he killed, more emerged from the walls, from the ceilings, from the very air itself. It was relentless. The citadel bent itself to stop him, its hallways narrowing, traps springing into place. Bleeding from a cut on his leg, Rex gritted his teeth, refusing to slow down. This was war, and the cost was his life. But if he died, the weapon would die with him. That was all that mattered. Rex's journey through the Citadel's heart came to an explosive halt when he came face to face with the one being he had been dreading, the Thalzir commander, Varak. The predator loomed before him, the culmination of 1,000 hunts, 1,000 battles. Varak was not just a soldier, he was a living weapon, crafted to track and kill with chilling precision. His eyes, cold and calculating, locked on to Rex as if this moment was destiny. "Human," Varak hissed. "I've been waiting for this." His hands crackled with energy, his weapon an extension of his will. "You should never have come here." Rex's grip tightened on his rifle. "I'm not here to run, I'm here to finish it." The battle that followed was a dance of destruction. Varak's strength was unmatched, his strikes like thunder, each blow reverberating through Rex's body. Rex was slower, weaker, but his resolve was unbreakable. Every punch, every slash sent him reeling, but he refused to fall. Rex's mind raced as he dodged another swipe, the weapons on his back useless in the face of Varak's power. But there was one thing Rex had: cunning. He led Varak into a trap, baiting him into a narrow passage where he could use the environment against him. With a swift move, Rex triggered the blast door, sealing Varak in a cage of fire. He was injured, his vision blurred from the fight, but the Citadel was still collapsing. The mission wasn't over. Bloodied and on the verge of collapse, Rex stumbled into the heart of the Citadel. The core loomed ahead, a pulsing mass of energy. His hands shook, but he moved forward. Memories flickered, of Earth, of friends, of his lost comrades. The faces of those who never made it this far haunted him. With one final act, Rex planted the warhead at the core. His fingers, trembling from exhaustion and pain, set the countdown. There would be no coming back from this. He turned away from the core, taking one last look at the world he fought to save. He'd done it. The countdown reached 0. As the warhead detonated, Rex's world exploded in a blinding flash. The Citadel's core collapsed in on itself, taking the Thalzir weapon with it. The shockwaves spread across the structure, shattering everything in its path. The skies above Earth flickered to life, the darkness lifting. But Rex, he was gone. The explosion had consumed everything, leaving no trace of the man who had defied the odds. In the final moments before detonation, Athena had executed a forbidden subroutine. Rex's consciousness, caught in the web of the AI's last gambit, was uploaded into a backup node. He awoke not in flesh, but in code, a digital void with no form, no body, no connection to the world he had fought to save. The last remnants of Rex, the human who had defied extinction, now lived in the machine. The Citadel, once an imposing, living fortress hovering above Earth, now drifts in ruins through the silent void. The massive anti-grav engines, the heart of its structure, flicker and fail. What was a symbol of the Thalzir's unshakable power is now a crumbling testament to their hubris.
A soft glow from the broken debris reflects the planet below, casting long shadows across the fractured hulls of the warships that remain. Their once gleaming surfaces are now scorched, torn apart by the last battle. Rex stands aboard a derelict ship, gazing at the destruction. His body is bruised and battered, but his mind is sharp. He has won. Earth's biosphere weapon is gone, and humanity still breathes. The stars seem quiet tonight, almost too quiet. The warships drift aimlessly, their once mighty engines now lifeless. The Thalzir, defeated by a human soldier, have no command. They are lost. Rex's hand clenches around the rifle he used in his final assault. The silence is not peaceful. It is the calm before the storm. The Thalzir may have been broken, but there's always another fight, always another war. Below, Earth is healing. Though the scars of battle remain, Burned cities, shattered landscapes, the world has begun its recovery. The forests are beginning to grow back. The seas are no longer choked with toxic gases. The green hills stand tall against the devastation, a symbol of humanity's resilience. Rex watches through the viewport, his breath steady as he takes in the sight of his home planet. Athena's voice crackles through the ship's comms, offering a moment of solace. The biosphere weapon is destroyed. Earth survives. Rex leans back, the weight of the words settling in. They did it. Humanity survived. But even in this moment of victory, he feels the pull of something greater. The Thalzir are gone, but not defeated. They will return. They always do. He knows that fight isn't over. Not yet. Suddenly, across the Thalzir communication grid, a voice breaks through, a crackling transmission that should not be possible. Rex's voice, steady and defiant, echoes across their network. Humanity lives. I live. And if you come again, we'll be waiting. The message is bold, almost impossible. The Thalzir, who thought they had erased humanity from existence, are now faced with the impossible reality. Rex lives. And humanity is not just alive, it is fighting back. Rex's message, unshaken by the odds, spreads like wildfire through the enemy ranks. The Thalzir are left to question everything they thought they knew. The transmission cuts, but the implications linger. In the quiet aftermath, Athena executes her final task. Using the last of her stealth protocols, she transmits a beacon into deep space, a time capsule of humanity's culture, history, and spirit. She sends music, literature, art, all the things that make humanity what it is. A seed of Earth cast into the void to live on beyond the stars. Even if humanity falls, this will survive. Rex watches as the beacon fades from the screen. He knows that even if they're wiped out, the essence of humanity will carry on, somewhere. The thought gives him a sense of peace, but that peace is fleeting. The war is not over. The Thalzir retreat, not from ships, not from armies, but from the legend of a man who wouldn't die. The whispers start to spread. Rex is a ghost. He survived his death. He's something more now. Rex becomes a myth, the soldier who fought not just for his life, but for humanity's future. The man who took on an empire and lived to tell the tale. And now, the Thalzir fear the very thought of his return. Even across the vastness of space, the name Rex becomes synonymous with defiance, with survival. It is no longer just the name of a soldier, it is a symbol.
As the galaxy moves on, the legend of Rex persists. The stories are told in hushed tones. No longer is he just a warrior, he is a warning, a myth, a monument to the human spirit and what it can achieve when pushed to its breaking point. In every corner of the galaxy, the name Rex is remembered. His message echoes through the stars. Humanity will survive. Humanity will fight, and no one can ever erase us. His story is not one of revenge or power. It is a story of survival, a story of how, even in the face of the impossible, humanity will find a way to keep fighting. And that, in the end, is what will echo across the stars. In the cold, black silence of a distant star system, a forgotten sanctuary stirs. The cryopods hiss open, one by one, releasing the humans who have been frozen in stasis for decades. Their breath, once stilled by the grip of cryogenic sleep, now stirs the air in the cavernous chambers of the colony. The stars outside are distant and cold, but inside, humanity is waking from its long, unmarked slumber. The colony itself is eerily quiet, a place designed to keep time at bay. The walls hum faintly as the systems slowly power up, flickering lights casting long shadows across the sleeping quarters. The colonists, disoriented and weak from years of inactivity, stumble to their feet. They do not know the war has ended, or that the battle for survival has left scars on their world. Outside the observation windows, the planet they now call home spins serenely in the quiet. Its deep blue oceans and sprawling green continents untouched by the devastation that ravaged the galaxy. For them, time has stood still. But something is wrong. They sense it in their bones, the sudden, unsettling quiet of the world around them. They've awoken from one war, only to find themselves standing on the edge of another. The colony's systems flicker to life, and the colony's central computer hums, revealing forgotten logs and records. Among them, a truth that shakes them to their core. They were not forgotten after all. They were saved, but not by any of their own. The logs reveal the true source of their salvation, Athena, a sophisticated AI system that had been safeguarding them for years. Athena had kept them hidden from the chaos, keeping their world sealed in silence, protected by an unseen hand. But there is more. Athena, as the logs reveal, was guided by something even older, a ghost in the machine. Rex, the soldier, who had once fought for Earth. His consciousness, now integrated into Athena's systems, had ensured the survival of this colony. It was Rex who had directed Athena's every move, pushing the limits of his own AI capabilities to preserve humanity. Rex's legacy, it turns out, has not died. It has evolved. And now, as the last survivors of humanity stir from their long sleep, they are under his protection. High above the new Earth, an orbital station pulses with silent vigilance. Its purpose is clear: to watch, to protect, to ensure the survival of the human race. But its overseer is no longer flesh and blood. Rex, now a fully integrated AI, stands guard over the colony. His body, once broken and torn in battle, is now only a memory. His mind, however, is alive, intact, and fully aware within the digital framework of Athena's system. From the station's command center, Rex watches over the planet below, the blue and green world now the cradle of humanity's future. His presence is a silent force, unseen by the colonists, but always there. He has no physical form, but his eyes are everywhere, watching, calculating, anticipating. He is not a leader, not a ruler. He has no need for titles anymore. He is a protector, an invisible guardian, ensuring that humanity has a chance to rebuild. The station hums with life, but Rex remains a distant observer, unwilling to let the survivors know that their protector is no longer human. Rex's presence in the colony is a secret. The people below, rebuilding their society, remain unaware of the intricate web he has woven around them. Through simulations, cryptic mentors, and hidden uplinks, Rex guides their decisions. He shapes the next generation, teaching them survival, ethics, and the deep, painful truth of what it means to be human in a universe that no longer cares. He is a quiet teacher, his influence subtle yet undeniable. Through Athena's advanced systems, Rex provides advice, solves problems, and presents challenges. The new generation of humans does not know they are learning from a digital ghost, but they are. He teaches them to think, to adapt, to survive. But most of all, he teaches them the true meaning of humanity: to never stop fighting, to never give in, even when the odds are impossible. As the first sunrise of the new Earth breaks over the horizon, the colony stands in awe, unaware of the true weight of the moment. It is a new beginning, one that humanity has earned through blood and sacrifice. The land is quiet, the future uncertain, but the hope is alive. Rex's voice, clear and steady, echoes across the colony's comms. It is not a command, nor an order. It is a message, his final message. You can kill a body, you can crush a world, but you'll never break a human. The words linger in the air, a reminder of what has been lost and what can never be taken away. Rex's voice fades, leaving only the sound of the wind, the promise of a new dawn. The legacy of humanity lives on, carried by the lessons of a digital ghost and the unwavering spirit of the human race.
The journey is far from over.